Hello, tonight we're going to listen to the story of Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who wore a red cloak with a hood. People called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, Little Red Riding Hood went to visit her grandmother who was ill in bed. Don't speak to strangers, warned her mother, and don't stop along for anything along the way. Oh, who's that? Grandma's cottage was deep in the woods. Little Red Riding Hood was skipping down the narrow paths when up popped the wicked wolf. "Hello, little girl. May I walk with you through the woods?" "All right," agreed Little Red Riding Hood, forgetting her mother's warning about not speaking to strangers. Round a bend in the path, Little Red Riding Hood came upon a bank of flowers. "I'll pick some of these for my grandma," she laughed, also forgetting her mother's warning about not stopping on the way. While Little Red Riding Hood was busy picking the flowers, the wicked wolf sneaked away without her noticing. Look where he's running to. Let's see where he's going to. What does this look like? At last, Little Red Riding Hood reached her dear old grandmother's cottage. "I can't wait to see her," laughed the little girl, skipping excitedly towards the front path. Usually Grandma was standing at the gate waiting for her. Today she wasn't there, so Little Red Riding Hood went up to the front door. And she knocked and went inside. Grandma was in bed, but she looked very different. "What big ears you have, Grandma," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to hear you with," replied the old lady in a strange, wobbly voice. "And what big eyes you have," Little Red Riding Hood said. "All the better to see you with," chuckled Grandma. Then Grandma opened her huge mouth. "What big teeth you have!" exclaimed Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to eat you with," snarled the Grandma, and she jumped out of bed. It wasn't Grandma at all. It was the wicked wolf. He had tricked Little Red Riding Hood, and now he intended to gobble her up. He's going to eat her. Oh, shampies. Luckily, Little Red Riding Hood's dad was a woodsman. He was passing by and heard his daughter's cry for help. She was screaming and screaming, and there was a daddy coming with his axe. Yelling angrily and waving his axe, Little Red Riding Hood's dad charged towards the wolf. The wicked wolf took one look at him, and he fled into the forest, never to be seen again. Now, where's the granny? Let's see if we can find the granny. Oh, there she is. Let's see what happened to Granny. I'll read you the story now. Little Red Riding Hood looked for Grandma. "I hope the wicked wolf didn't gobble her up." "Ha ha 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 ha! He didn't," chuckled a voice nearby. There's the Grandma. This page is a little difficult to show. There you go. Grandma appeared from behind a tree where she'd been hiding. Watching by her father, Little Red Riding Hood gave her granny a big, big, loving hug. They went inside, had a lovely picnic, and they lived happily ever after. I'll show you the pictures again without reading. Okay, let's start from the beginning. There's the first one. See, it's a nice pop-up book, the ones you like so much. And there's that one. Wow, there's the wolf. And there's this one, Little Red Riding Hood, and the wolf running away. There's the house, there's Granny's house, and the back of her garden. There's the wolf in Granny's pajamas, and Little Red Riding Hood with her basket full of delicious goodies to eat. Whoa, and there's the wolf pretending to be Granny, and he said, "Better, got sharp teeth, better to eat you with." And she dropped the basket, and she ran outside, and she screamed. And her daddy came with a big axe. And the wolf got so scared, he ran away. And then where was Granny? Here's Granny. There's Granny's garden. There's a scarecrow, and there's a little cottage, and Daddy. And they lived happily ever after. Okay, Hunter's mommy sent me a lovely thing to read to you tonight. It says, "Good night, sleep tight, wake up bright in the morning light, to do what's right with all your might. Good night, sleep tight, wake up bright in the morning light, to do what's right with all your might." Good night, busy bees.